Why did you break? Okay, you're back. The cable got loose again. I need to replace that. I think I have like a replacement cable upstairs too. I just need to like actually do the thing. Maybe this weekend I'll replace it. Sorry about that. I don't know how long I was quiet for. Let's see. Query 1. We have the point. So this is gonna be the exact same thing. We're gonna do a self.components. Oh, we need the name. Which the name is gonna be a key. Okay, so in this case, we need a point, and we also need a K. Okay, dot get name. Okay, so then we can unwrap you. If I do a let a equals, okay, so we have this RC here. Then I want to, let's multi-line this just to make it a little bit easier to look at. Okay, so we unwrap, we've got this RC, we can ignore the SC, we can go straight into the ref cell. So we're gonna borrow because we're just querying one, we're not querying one mute. That gives us the ref, and then I can cast. I can't cast because I have to do this in 2 steps. I think I have to do this in 2 steps. We have to get a wrapped. Okay, we have to get the wrapped point. And then we have to go in. So we know we're querying one for a point. Oh man, it would be really cool if this could be like the component C that we're going for. And we're turning like a reference to this. And then we have the K here. Okay, so that might work here. So we're gonna have like a wrapped, or maybe we'll just have this be a component. So we've borrowed the component, and now we want to let the cast component equals component dot cast. Oh, you're not gonna let me. Why won't you let me? You're a ref because you're a vec of component. Right, so this is where I may need to actually switch over. If I wanted to do something like this, I need to switch over to holding all of the component, the vector is inside of the components. That might work. That could work. There's going to be a little bit more work for this one, but we can do these type of. I want to do a little bit of experimentation with this type of generics because having like impulse with setting what the types is coming in, and I want to make sure that I can do like my custom types with this. Because I want to do this for like points, like impulse C is like a point, and I don't think I can do something like that. Like C is always a point. Yeah, okay. Oh, trait. Yeah, expected trait. Where I want to type specifically. Oh, what did I break? Did I pull in? Yeah, I pulled in you. Impulse CK for entity CK. All right, so you're not working there. Now there was that one we did in the, was it for the components? No, it wasn't this. We did something with a point. Yeah, this is what we did. We did impulse sum point or point. Okay, so this is where we put this right here, is we put it at this point, not at the impulse, not at here. So if I do that, why are you upset now? Oh, because I don't have like the actual thing. You're expecting to have a function. All right, well, let's just do back to components. We'll do that. That'll make you happier. Mismatch types, found, reference to an RC. We'll just do an unwrap for a second to put you back. All right. Let's do impl. So this is like impl trait sum for point. So I wonder if that means I need to have like a trait for this. So if I did like a trait for like getting this in a mod. So if we had a trait to get to like for query, to world, like maybe world query. And one of the methods in here is going to be a function query one. We know we're going to take in a reference to self. We're going to take in a name, which is, it's going to have to be a reference to a key for a key. And we're going to return some kind of component, but it's going to have to be like a vector of components. So a vec of, let's just do components right now. A vec of component. Okay, so can I find K in this scope? All right, so where am I going to put you? Am I going to put you here? Yes, I am. Okay. So I'm going to come back into here. So impl world query. And then this, we're going to have this key for, oh, and I suppose this is where I could potentially do like a point. Like impl world query point for entity data, which you need to know what's in here. Because you have this key and we don't know what you are. Because I made it so that it could be anything. So that makes that a little bit more difficult because I don't know what this is. So then you need to be like a key. So then you're going to say that you're not initialized, meaning you have to be initialized here. Oh, okay. So the entity data this is going to be the K. So I don't know what. Okay, so then where does this come from? How do I tell you? Do we need to do something like key like that? Or is it actually something like this? And this other type doesn't really come in now. Interesting. So the end goal, like what I want to be able to do is be able to query for the just like the specific things. Now, we had a suggestion to, and I think there's a Tigger Gallus was suggesting that we put the vector into the components that enum, and then we can have methods for like inserting and extracting. So let me start there. Maybe that'll make it a little bit easier. Let's see. You're all happy here. Chantilly, hello. So I'm not gonna undo you. We're gonna keep you all the same. What are you upset about? World query, right. We don't have you anymore. Okay, so let's say that the components is really a hash map of key and component just goes in here. So we just have like a component that goes in here. The component then would have these like points, which would now have the RC ref cell vec of a point. And we do the exact same thing here. RC ref cell vec F32. And so if they're the same here,
who did this? Who the freak ate my snack bag?
we can potentially update our casting to be within like basically be typed now. So typed based upon this point. So maybe we can have a trait. I don't know if it needs to be public or not. A trait cast component. So we're gonna have a function for like a cast cast type. We know we're gonna take in a reference to self. And we want to return basically like component casted to whatever type this is. So you need to be like cast to T for we can get the type that we're going to go for, like point, for example. I'm going to go and find that comment again. Okay, let me go find the YouTube comment from Tigger Gallus. because it has a link to some code that we can take a look at. Oh, right. It's not this browser. It's the other browser. It's this browser. Let's come here, comments. Okay, where is your... There it is. Copy link location. Yes, I'm sure I want... No, don't. Yes, I'm sure I want to go. Expose you. Okay, so here's this idea that we have our ECS. We have a component, so it's like this F32. Okay, so it wasn't... Okay, so we have the vector of like F32s and a string, which is a vector of strings. Then we have this trait for like get of type. We have get and get mute, which is going to return an option of a vec of the t, so this thing, or an option with a mutable reference to the vec of t, so inside of one of these. Write an impl for each variant because the implementations are so similar. Right, we could potentially do this as a macro. Well, we're going to ignore that for right this second. Okay, so we have a get for F32 for a component. So we can do a get, which returns this option. Right, which then we can like hard code this in. If let component is an F32, return that, otherwise return the nut. Okay, so... And that's how we can have it be like casted automatically for us. But it does require us to move the vector over here. Now, what this does mean is that in here, it's not going to be as simple as not the world entity data as component. We're still going to have like an RC, ref cell, but then it's just component. So then I'm gonna head back up to component here. Let's ignore that for a second. We're gonna have point, so no RC ref cell. It's gonna be the vec of this thing. Okay, so points, we can have like points and F32s. So that gives us our vec of points and our vec of F32s. Okay, nice. Maybe I should have, yeah, I'll just keep this here for simplicity's sake. Now we can have our trait. Inserting is going to be interesting too. We have to figure that out as well. Because like inserting now, I probably want to do like a default maybe for one of these, but it's gonna have to be based upon the type. So we're gonna have to have a an insert. So because here in entity data, immediately we're running into this insert problem where it's like or default. How do we get the default for this component? There is no default for it. We could, it should be an empty vector. But it might be easier to just check to see if one exists. And if it doesn't exist, then we're going to create one. That's probably the easiest. And that's going to require this to be slightly different. So self-type components. Is there a method for checking to see if a key exists? Like exists. contains key. And then this is a reference to the key. So a reference to the key. So if self.components dot contains key, then we're going to go ahead and this already exists in here. So okay, so let's add to it. However, if it doesn't, we need to create a new one. So what is that going to be? That's going to be a component of whatever type this is. So let's imagine that we're going to need a type to come in here too. Oh, we have component coming in. Okay, that's fine then. If we have the component, then we're going to insert. So insert key. It's okay. And then the value is going to be an RC, new ref cell, new, and then the component. Expected value found type parameter K. Oh, right. You're not a K. You're a name. And you're a name. Okay, so I mean, it's not using the methods that are like nicely built in for hash maps for us, but it's not terrible. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna leave this in here. So we need to get out the component. So we can add that in there. That means in component, so we can extract out this one. That's going to be simple. So self dot, we can do let so we wouldn't want this to be a new component, would we? Because it can't be like a new component. It has to be like a point or an F32. So this is also going to have to be a type. So like maybe a C. But if we do that, now we have to have a C, C, and I suppose we should have a trait component that would allow us to throw things into here. I think I would need to do that. We need a trait component so that I can limit it to specifically these things. Oh, but F32s don't have like I don't know how to like set that properly. Oh, so inserting sucks for this, and I'm not exactly sure how I can do it with this specific thing. It's really about dynamically adding new entities and therefore all their components into the system. And if I want to like grab into this vector, we need this point. Now, I could have two enums here. I don't know if, I think this is a terrible idea, but let's say I do an enum component type. And this is just like a point, and this is like an F32. So if I were to do this, entity data, so we're gonna take in, we don't know exact, well, okay, so we know it's gonna be the data, not the component anymore, is it? It's gonna be basically a component data. It makes me wonder whether or not we should have, oh, component and then components. I don't. I want to rethink this because maybe an enum isn't the best idea for this if I want to go this route. I'm gonna reset this really quickly. The best part about having any kind of Git is that I can do this type of thing. Changes, reset. What if I, why are you still upset? Don't save. What if I had a different method of storing all the component data? And what if I used a struct instead of an enum? So if we go over to components here, we have this enum component that has like the point and the F32. What if instead of this enum component, what if I did pub struct component data? I'm just gonna call it data, even though it'd probably be like component. We can do this as like components also. It'd be like component container. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. And so if we have this, and now we want inside of here to store all of the different components. No, this one stores one of possible different ones. So it's sort of like I'm recreating an enum type thing, but with a little bit more power, maybe. It's like a component container could potentially be like the points. And so in here, we can have like an option, because we don't know what it's going to be, and then it's going to be a vec of, well, point. And then we can have this F32s. So like F32s would be an option of a vec of F32. So if I did this, I would want like, now it's up to me to make sure I don't have like both of them set at the same time. I would just absolutely need to like double check that like if I'm going for points, so we now need like the type. So like my type needs to be like one of these things. this is where having like the component types here might come in handy. So if I do like pub enum component type, I can have a point, I can have a F32. So then you would be a component type. Okay, so if I did this, I can now do my like gets based upon these different component types. We could have the component container be what's stored in the world, like the entity data for like the hash map. I would want to. So insert would be like the first thing that we would need to be able to do with this, right? We need to insert into this, and so we need the type that we're coming in, which would be one of these, and then the actual data of what's being stored. And I don't think that this could be something like component type point. I don't think you can do that. And I don't think I can do, yeah, I don't think I can do something like this. I'm like, hey, I want like that specific thing. So this is gonna be points. Okay, so let's do insert. So for insert, I guess like we need a new. To help like set this up. If we have new, our component type is set to maybe none to begin with. Put you up at the top. We're going to return a new self. So we're going to do a self points. So everything is none to begin with. And my type is going to be a component type. None. So if I do that, then we have like a blank component container. It contains absolutely nothing. Then we go to insert. This one will be a mutable self. And then we need the component type that we're going to be inserting in. So maybe like a new type to insert, just going to be a component type. Maybe I'll just do this as component type. You're a component type. And then the actual data. And this data is going to have to be a generic. And we're going to have to take ownership of that. And eventually we might want to do some like result, but okay, so cannot find D in this scope. So Now we need that. Oh, don't need that here. Just need that in an impl. Okay, so now we need to constrain the type. Or do I just do that down here? Do I like see where the type data is, and then it has to be like a point, an F32, or a type. Like I don't know what this is. Like it could be anything. Unless I have to like write a wrapper for F32s, which seems not cool. I don't want to do that. Oh, this is where I use this is maybe where I need to do like a trait for inserting with types. Can I do that? Can I do like impl component container? But for this, like have it be a specific type for this. Like I can say that this is going to be like a point that we care about. So you're going to yell at me saying wrong number of type arguments because there's nothing here that it needs. I see. And I mean, I could do like insert point, like all those different functions for it. That seems not the best option. Because then I have to do like insert point, insert F32. I want to be able to do like, hey, insert this data and like dynamically pass this in. So this won't work. I wonder if I could do. This is the trait potentially. So if I do a trait insert component data, then you would be a type. So be a type, because that's what we see here. Trait get t and then use it there. So then you'd be a function insert, take immutable self, the type would then be, actually I don't even know if I need my type. So then if I do my data, which is t, and we don't return anything, we just do that. So impl insert component data for a point. Now data is going to be a point. Okay. Send inside of here. Then we're going to do, okay, so then we find out like whether or not points has something. So if we can do self dot. So we can check to see if self dot my type is a point. So if let maybe we could do matches. If matches, it's gonna be, what's the first thing? It's the data and then the pattern. So you're gonna be the data. No, you're gonna be the type point. Oh no, I don't know if that would work. We just happen to know point, right? Oh no, here it is. It's gonna be, okay, so if let self dot my type. Okay, so if self dot my type is equal to the component type point, then we're happy. Or, and then I think this one can be, we can do this as an or. Component none. Oh, I can't do the, oh, it's a single pipe. All right, so if my type is a point or it's none, then we need to set points. Well, okay, so if it's none, we create the new vector and put it inside of points. If it's some, so if it's a point, then we extract in and then we, okay, so it's going to be slightly different. So if you're a let's say you're a none to begin with. So if you're a none, I wonder if I should just match this then. Let's match self dot my type. Fill the match arms. Okay, so if we're a none, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna set the my type. So self dot my type is gonna be set to a component type point. We're also going to set points, like create the empty vector and push in this data. So self dot points is equal to a sum. Adds a new vec of data. Now, if we have a point already, if we already have a point, then I don't need to set the self that my type, and I don't need to like reset the data. What I want to do is extract out, like get into that vector. So then we're going to do an if let sum is going to be all the points, self dot points. That should be a vector. If we have this as a vector, then I want to just push this in. You're gonna have to be a mutable self. I'm gonna do a points dot push data like that. Okay, so you're okay so far. Now, if I need an error, because like this could be, well, we don't have to have like an else here. If there is no points here, then we have a problem, because that means like component type was set to point, but we never actually added data in, and that's a problem. So then it's just not going to be added in. Probably should return an error, like a result. And then here with F32, we're going to do no op. So if I were to do this, I don't think this needs to be public anymore. I think the component type, I think, can be private. It's just something that this needs in order to like do its thing. But then we're going to put the component container inside of here. The component container is going to then go in the world. So we're going to come back to world entity data. And so component is now going to be a component container. Sorry, you don't go there. You go up here. Component container. Okay. So now insert becomes more interesting. This is going to have to just be the data. And you're going to have to be a data like this. A data is a type. So now we have this insert component data, and it's this very generic function here. I wonder, instead of like an insert like this, we would then do a impl. What is this called? This is insert component data trait. Insert, okay, you need to be public. And then this is going to be for a point for entity data, which then has its key. Okay, cannot find a point. Let's bring in a point. We need a K here for the key. Oh, so we need the name at this point in time. Oh, that's unfortunate. So we need to have like insert. We need to have like two insert component datas. That's unfortunate. Because we need the key to figure out what's the name of the component. Like where is it going into? And I don't know if this is gonna. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. At least not with this trait. We can create another trait, which is maybe a little bit unfortunate. So we can do a. Then this goes back to being private. And we have a trait insert insert component, which has a type t and function insert is going to have like a mute self. We're going to have a key, which is the, so we're going to have the two things. We're going to have a key and data. So key is going to be a key, and we're going to have the data, which is the data, and that's it. This insert component, you become insert component. We don't pull this in. So it's gonna be, okay, let's redo this. Impl insert component. I wonder if like just working with like strings would be just so much better. It would actually reduce a lot of headache around this. Yeah, it would make things a lot easier. Okay, so insert component. This could be the key and the data. We don't know what this key is, but the data is going to be a point for entity data. Yeah, so then you need to be a key here. So we need to make sure. Oh, gross. I don't think I can. Yeah. Okay, you're not hating this so far. So we have our key and we have our data. It's working out. Okay, so oh, you're a point. So then I want to extract out, check to see if the key exists in the hash map. So if self dot components dot contains key. So if it contains that key, I want to insert it. Otherwise, we want to create a default. And I could probably go back to doing a default here for this. We can set the default is going to be the none. This can be used. Let's do default for component container. Default is going to be a self. We're going to do a points. None. F32s. Oh wait, I think I saw in GGEZ that I could do a derive default, and then you. I think it's something like this. Default equals component type none. That's not how to do it. Where did I find that? I was in window mode, I think. Need to go to the GGEZ documentation, window mode. Okay, so all these defaults, but let's go. Okay, here's how it is. So it's hash default, lowercase default, and then parentheses, and then what that default is. Interestingly, you don't need to derive default at that point in time. So I don't need. I guess I could do, okay. Parentheses there. Parentheses there. Now I need a default everywhere else. Can I find attribute default in this scope? So it's hash open default equals, oh, equals the thing. No, you're not happy. A field component type should have snake case name. Wait, what? Okay, we're doing full screen type. Okay, windowed like this. Okay, so in this case, it's you. Can I find attribute default in this scope? I import default. You maybe? No, that makes you unhappy. All right, so where does this come from? Nothing. How does it do that? Malakianer, hello, good morning. Any performance improvements yet? I haven't been working on performance today. I've been trying to figure out a different way of storing the data in ECS that'll make it easier to extract from the user's end, where I'm like, you know, when I'm actually making the simulations or games. But I ended up going down a rabbit hole, and I'm trying to figure out how to like set defaults on this. This is not what I expected. I thought I could do this, but oh, there's this weird smart default that they're using. Is that a thing? Is smart default a thing? Not here. Okay, there's a smart default crate. That's what allows me to do this type of stuff. Oh, that's really cool. So if I don't do that, then what I could do is impl or see, derive default for this. That's gonna be fine, but then it's not gonna know how to do my type. It doesn't know what's the default here, so then I have to impl default. I have to take away this default. Impl default for component type. Implement the missing members, and there's going to be a self. None. Okay, so the default is none. Brings us back to here. Okay. So I don't know if I need this entire contains key. I think we can now do the, so let the component equals self dot components dot entry. It's going to be the key. So it's key or default. That now gives us this entire thing. So we have this component now, which is this, I guess we could call this a wrapped component. Cell of vec. I don't want you to be a vector in here. I want you to be just an RC ref cell and then the component data. Then we extract out, so we go into the RC, we borrow mute. So let the borrowed component equal the wrapped component dot borrow mute. Actually, I probably can just borrow mute here. Okay. That gives us a ref mute and component container. So now I can insert into here. What's your problem? No method name for entry for struct. Okay, the key needs to be equal and hash. Okay, so key. So key. Do I do this where k is equal plus hash? Oh, I need to do this in the trait. Where did I put that? That's in where? So here? Okay, so okay. This now gives us our ref mute for wrapped component. Now I can essentially mute wrapped component. We can do a wrapped component dot insert to get into the ref mute, and then component container, which we see has an insert in here. And then we hand it the data, which is data like that. Do I need to deref this? I need to get inside the ref mute. Insert I thought would deref automatically to get in here, but apparently it's not. So I don't think I can do like a deref. Deref mute dot insert. Yeah, that's not gonna work. You can do like the star. And this is like a star mute. There's no insert in the here for that. Ah, okay, so this isn't working